Good afternoon and welcome to the Mahjong Live online talks. Today, this session is for the Special Educational Needs and Disability Studies course. My name is Kari. I am one of the student recruitment team here at Mahjong. My role for today is to look after the Q&A box and just to make sure everything runs smoothly. So if you do have any questions as we go through, please do pop it in the Q&A box. And what we'll do is once the initial presentation's over, we will then get to any questions. Obviously, if any of the questions have been answered as we've gone through, I will kind of let you know that. And if you still want further clarification, we can provide that as well. We're also joined today by Lynn, who is one of our student ambassadors, and she's also just come to the end of her first year on the course. So we'll be calling on her towards the end of the talk to answer some questions around life as a student on the course. And now I'm going to hand you over to Jonathan Harvey, who is the programme lead for this course, and he'll be delivering the presentation throughout the day. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Kari, and welcome everyone. So this is a talk for Special Educational Needs and Disability Studies. It's really, first thing to say is Lynn will probably be able to answer quite a few of your questions, hopefully, because rather than, I will go through things, but please remember that Lynn is there, and Lynn is, it's a lot better getting the idea from the horse's mouth, as it were, rather than me. And the other thing I'll say is, did you like the way I just casually led on to the marketing side there, telling you all how great we are? So the most important slide that I'll give today is the one at the very end with my contact details. So please don't think that, you've tuned into this and listened to this today, and that is, kind of the end of it, and you have to make a decision on that. Please feel free to drop me an email anytime, and I will get back to you to the best of my ability with more information. Okay, so as I said, welcome to the talk. So the first thing to say about the course is that we at Mahjong are really, really proud of this course, with it being the only disability-specific course in the Southwest. There are of course special educational needs courses, but this is the only one that includes a disability studies angle as well. And I think that's really important because it gives you the firm grounding in working with disabled people rather than working in a particular setting. So the first thing to say, you probably won't really, it doesn't mean a lot to you, but this program sits within the Institute of Education, which actually is rather important, as you get all some of the benefits of being an Institute of Education as well, so that you have, for example, some shared modules. So Lynn would probably be able to tell you more about that at the end. So we get to share some modules with the wider education courses, which is also beneficial for your learning. Okay, so the first question that people often want answered is that okay, it's great, this is a degree, it's going to cost me so much every year, sorry, but what can I do with it? What can I be afterwards? And the answer to that is that, it's a really kind of multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary course. So it's really good. I mean, if you've got a feeling that you like to work with children with special educational needs, young people with special educational needs, or disabled people, work with young people, adults, their families, or carers. So you can go into a really wide range of careers. And the important thing to note about the course is that it gives you a BA Honours qualification, which is a great qualification. So what I like to say is that with you know, a BA Honours with a first degree at university, it's sometimes better to shape it like a Christmas tree, if you like. So to have a wide ranging lot of careers that you can go into, which you can narrow down as you go through your degree. But if you've got that wide base, it is really kind of advantageous. And importantly, we don't have any exams in the course, which is something that I've worked really hard to get rid of, because I hate exams. I've always hated exams. So I think if I hate exams, then why should anyone else on the course have to do them? So that's a really important point. Okay, so what will you study at Marge on the course? So rather than looking at disability and special educational needs as something that is completely wrong with the individual, something that has to be fixed, has to be treated, we place a really strong emphasis upon the educational, social, cultural, political, and environmental context related to that person. Okay, so the course gives you a strong underpinning in all those debates that surround a person with special education needs or a disabled person. Sometimes people think that we want to learn so much about this impairment or that impairment, but unfortunately, there is no magic solution in terms of fixing that person. So very much the kind of disability studies emphasis of the course is about, well, okay, we're still going to have disabled people, we're still going to have people with special educational needs, but what can we do to adapt the environment around that person rather than adapt that person themselves? So there is no magic solution, there is no magic cure. Unlike coronavirus, which we hope we'll get a vaccine for, there's no magic solution to special education needs or disabled people. So we have to, in my opinion, we have to make the world around that person as inclusive as possible. Okay, and that is the best we can do. Okay, so as I talked about earlier, some more areas that you can go into following this degree. So formal and informal education, okay, health and social care. So I mean, there are people who've gone on to want to be occupational therapists or want to do speech therapists, and they can go on and do a master's in that. So do you remember what I was saying about the kind of the Christmas tree? So they've got that firm base in special educational needs and disability studies, and as they go further through their study, they can then become or form more of an idea of what they want to do. Okay, so so you can go into housing as well. Social policies, so you can become a worker for a local authority, for example, or you can also work for a variety of voluntary organisations, both nationally and internationally. I have to be a bit careful when I talk about voluntary sector applications, because people often say, I'm not doing this degree, I don't want to work for nothing, I'm doing it because I want a job. But when I say voluntary sector organisations, there are paid positions like kind of managing volunteers and so on that you will be qualified to go into. The course can also be, as I said, the Christmas tree thing. It can also be a great route into postgraduate study. So, for example, here at Marjon, we've got MA Social Policy, MA Education, MA Youth and Community Work. And you do get a discount being a Marjon undergraduate when you go into a future course. But of course, you can also choose to do something completely different, like say occupational therapy, speech therapy, physiotherapy, that you do a master's elsewhere. We do have a dedicated careers team which are called Marjon Futures, and they're fantastic for working through where you might want to go with your degree later on. And they work really well with, especially as you get into the second or third year of your course and you start solidifying your ideas of where you might want to go. And of course, we do also, I'll get onto that in a second, but we do have placement learning. We do have placements which, for the placement in second year, you do have a degree of, you do have a lot of choice of where you like to go. So that offers you a further way of kind of thinking through where you might like to take your degree in the future. Okay, so that's just, this slide is just really a visual representation of how you can either go from your degree straight into your career, a job, which is fine, or you can break that up a little bit and go the postgraduate study route. And there's absolutely no need to make up your mind really early about that. That's something you can how to grow and soak up all the information as you progress through your course. Okay, so I won't go through every module in great detail, but as I've said, I'm available to send an email to you if you do want that information. We do have it, but the first year is generally really just for forming a foundation. So we have modules, we cover things such as study skills, how to reference properly at Marjon, how to use the IT systems, because let's face it, they're a nightmare everywhere you work, so, and everywhere you study. So it's about getting used to the individual nature of what we use here at Marjon. And hopefully you'll find it really simple, and there's loads and loads of help available for that. We also look at things like creativity and how we develop inclusion in both school settings and in wider settings. So I'll just go back. Also, we do have a placement in the first year, and that is decided for you. And it's, a lot of that is learning how to work and reflect on your own experiences, and that's a really fun module. So the second year we build on that foundation that you built in kind of disability studies in education as well. So we have further modules on that. We also introduce the idea of safeguarding. We also look at some of the international and global perspectives of special educational needs and disability studies. And as I said before, we do also have a work-based learning module where we of course work with you to find an appropriate placement. You would need to complete its the guide is 50 hours in the year 2 module. Okay, so you've completed first 2 years. You're probably sick to the back teeth of me pontificating, but you've only got 1 more year of it. You're almost there. So we have final few modules are basically advanced disability studies, advanced ideas of working within education, and obviously the dissertation, which is a really important a really important piece of work, and one from which you can take great pride from. It's a 10,000 word report, if you like, or kind of project, and you're assigned a supervisor for that. And you work with that supervisor, and basically if you have lots of contact with that supervisor, and there is no way in the world that you won't do everything that's needed to get a good grade in that. Okay, so don't panic about the length of that. Okay, so what you're going to be getting from Marjon University is obviously a BA honours, but you'll also be getting an awful lot more. One of the unique things about Marjon are the small class sizes, and again we can talk about that more, and Lynn will have more of a view. But our class size, are between 10, 15, maximum just over 15 people. And in that respect, that's one of the real advantages of the course, as we're able to give you that personal touch. So you get in the first year associated a personal development tutor who are responsible for all your kind of all your pastoral as well as educational issues that you might have. And lucky you, everyone on this course is usually me, so you stuck with me for that as well for another 3 years. But all joking apart, they are really important, and the small class size is a real advantage, and something that when you go to university you don't always get that, but here at Marjon you do get that personal touch, that community feeling, which is really important. And that is kind of based around our values, which are humanity, ambition, curiosity, and independence. I don't usually like putting everything I talk about on PowerPoint slide, but I had to make sure I put all the values there just in case I forgot one, because that would have been a kind of awkward silence. We also have a business and enterprise hub. So, for example, if you were thinking of setting up your own business, we have that kind of expertise that you could speak to someone. We also have the usual things such as lots of sports. We have music and photography studios. We have health clinics that often ask to recruit students. We have an outdoor cinema and an art centre, and obviously there's a student union bar. What university wouldn't be university without one? Believe you me, it's pretty cheap as well, so that's another added bonus. Okay, so this isn't so important for you to remember, but it's important that you remember it's kind of there. So to oversee the courses, we have a professional advisory group, and that's members from people who are members of that, sorry, could tend to be local service providers. Okay, and we meet once every 6 months to go through the course and make sure that everything's current and as good as it can be. And that's one benefit of it. Another real strong benefit is that by having that group, we have a wide pool of businesses from a variety of areas which can potentially provide placements for you in the course. So that is something that's important to think about. Just to mention, we do have lots of bookable talks, which are really good. So please make the most of them, because they are, I've seen them and they are really informative and really good. Okay, so we've come to the end now. I'll kind of shut up a bit, and I've got to the slide that I said at first is the most important, with my email address on it. So please don't be afraid to ask me any questions. And we're also on Twitter, for all of you who are kind of interested in or on Twitter. Our handle is SEN Marjon, and we'd be delighted to see you there. So thank you very much, Kari.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jonathan. So for everyone listening, I've just popped Jonathan's email and the Twitter handle into the Q&A chat box if you just wanted to copy and paste those. So what we'll do, we'll go through a few questions now. So if you do have any more, please pop them in the box for us. But Lynn, I'm going to come over to you now. Would you be able to talk? I know Jonathan mentioned earlier on that you have some shared modules with other courses. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about kind of why that's good, having your own specific modules and then having those shared modules?
Having the shared modules mean you get to meet other students from different courses, but it also means that they may have information or they may have knowledge that might help you, but your knowledge might also help their understanding and their learnings. And most of us usually meet in the chaplaincy for coffee and lunch, and we integrate with each of the courses. So it's not SEN course, primary ed course and psychology course. We all do mix together, and we sort of debate and discuss. We usually discuss what we've had in the lesson, just make sure we all understand it. Basically, it's like a really nice sort of extended learning. Is probably the easiest way that I can put it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lynn. And Jonathan, I've just had one come through that I think you might be able to answer best. You talked about placements, Jonathan. Are they block placements or are they kind of regular weekly placements?
Okay, so the placement in the first year is quite a bit shorter than the placement in the second year, and because you may not be so familiar with the area, etc., we arrange that placement for you, and that is set in a set time of the year. It's in around sort of the February half, or just after the February half term. But as far as the second year placement is concerned, that is a lot more kind of open for you to kind of mold it how you like. So we have a placement module that runs the entire length of the year, and we leave it up to you to decide. Obviously, with my help, you can talk it through with me whether you think it'd be better to do the placement all in one go, or do perhaps an afternoon a week over the year. So it's absolutely up to you, and kind of varies, I think, dependent on where you choose to go, really.
Brilliant, thank you. And Lynn, coming back to you. So university has less contact hours than school, for example. Could you talk a little bit about kind of the amount of time you are in lectures and then what you're expected to do outside of lectures, please?
You're usually in lectures no more than about 2 hours. You usually have 2, possibly 3 lectures a day, depending on how timetabling done. Most of my lectures I was only in 2 days a week, so you're then expected to do all your research, self-research, so you'll be in the library or at home, or if you're on campus, if you live on campus, a lot of students usually meet up in the library and they do group work together, or there's a quiet area outside student support, which is very good for either individual study or group study, or you basically you do most of your research at home, and all your essays are done at home, but if you need support, all the lectures are on hand more often than they're not. And Jonathan's door is always open.
Yeah, it is. He always wants to chat, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to take that, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt.
That was definitely a compliment, Jonathan. And Lynn, another question for you. Could you tell me kind of what you found the benefit of the small class sizes to be?
For me personally, the small size classrooms, it helps my learning. I'm actually disabled with dyslexia and I have short-term memory, so I find it hard to retain the information. But with a smaller class, everybody interacts with each other, everybody helps each other out. And I think if I was in a bigger class, I would actually feel lost. So the smaller classes, you get more individual help and support from both your peers and your lecturers.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lynn. And Jonathan, I think one last question really. You kind of talked about obviously not having exams and things like that. So how are you assessed? What is the kind of main assessment type?
Thank you, Kai. I've got a confession to make, everyone. I actually asked Kai to answer. I asked Kai to pose that question to me because I just want to emphasise the point that we don't have exams, which is really, really of huge benefit to every student, really. And I don't think they're particularly relevant for a course like this one. So we have a range of assessment modes. So we have essays quite a lot, we have posters, we have presentations, both by yourself and group presentations, and we have portfolios, we have reports, and of course there's obviously the dissertation. So yeah, there's a whole raft of different assessment modes, but no exams.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jonathan. So I've not had any more questions come up. Is there anything, are there any last words either of you two would like to say? Lynn, I'll start with you.
If you come onto this course, just enjoy it and live it to the full. You will take in a lot of knowledge and information, and just live it, just enjoy it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lynn. And yourself, Jonathan?
I would just say that Marjon is there for you. It's a massive community, and coming to university is a big step, but we're really, really, really good. I like to think our main advantage is the way we support people. So do not worry about anything. Take the plunge and come to Marjon, and you will not regret it, I promise you.
Brilliant. Thank you, both of you. So as I said before, I've popped Jonathan's email address in the Q&A box. So please, if you do have any more questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with him, okay? I know he would really love to hear from you. If you are interested in any of the other topics, in any of the kind of more general talks, then please go onto our website and just have a look at the Marge on Live, and it will direct you to how to book onto those. Thank you very much for listening today, and we hope you have a really good weekend.